Dear friends, hearty welcome to the Dhanus online problem solving session on mathematics. Today we have Mr. Ranjit, research scholar of Indian Institute of Science Bangalore with us to discuss problems on the topic sequence of functions. I would like to express my thanks to him for joining with us. I hope that today's session will be fruitful to all of you. I request Mr. Ranjit to handle the problem solving session. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me for this session. Okay, I'm going to talk about sequences of functions. I hope if you are preparing for NET exams, then you guys will be very much familiar with sequence of functions. But for this degree students, I hope they won't be that much familiar with the convergence and uniform convergence, all these things of sequence of functions. So I will just start with some basic definitions. So this is the definition. If a subset of R and Fn be a sequence of real valued functions on A, we say that Fn converges pointwise. So that term is very important here. This Fn converges pointwise to F if limit n tends to infinity Fnx equal to f of x for all x belongs to A. That means, so if we have a sequence of functions Fn, so we are saying this Fn converges to F pointwise if this Fn of x, for each x, this Fn of x will be a numerical sequence. So we know the definition of when a sequence converges. So we will say that this Fn of x converges to f of x for all x, then we will say that this Fn will converge to F pointwise. So you should be very much give importance for this term pointwise. So we can just look for some examples. First one is x raised to n. This is the first simple example we should come across whenever we are trying to learn about this convergence. So what can you say about this Fn of x is equal to x raised to n? We know that if mod x is less than 1, then x raised to n will convert to 0 as n tends to infinity. This result we already all know. So here if Fn of x is equal to x raised to n on closed interval 0, 1. So for all x, if bit less than 1, this will convert to 0. And at x equal to 1, it will be Fn of x will be the constant sequence 1 and it will converge to 1. So here this Fn is converging to F where f of x is equal to 0 if x is strictly less than 1 and 1 if x is equal to 1. So this is an example for pointwise convergence because for each x it is converging. So what happens if the definition is like this? Fn of x is equal to x raised to n on closed interval -1, 0. Here what will happen? At all points other than 1, by this result we know that it will go to 0. But if x is equal to -1, then Fn of -1 will be -1 whole raised to n, which we know that it is an alternating sequence and it is not convergent. So here the function, the sequence of function Fn, it won't converge at -1. So we cannot say that Fn is converging to some function. So this is the definitions for pointwise convergence examples. So like in open interval -1, 1, it will converge to all points, or at all points it is converging. Now consider this example. Fn of x is equal to, I hope you are familiar with this notation. This is characteristic function on n plus 1. So what does it mean? Characteristic function of n plus 1, what will be the first f1? F1 will be, it will be on the interval 1 to its value will be 1 and all other places it will be 0. F2 means on the interval 2 to 3 it will be 1 and otherwise it will be 0. Like that. So this will be the graph of the functions going. So where does this converge? Again, we can say anything like I take any point like here. Then if you take x here, f1 of x will be 0 and here this, I think that this 3 is something like 4. Then f2 of x also will be 0, but f3 of x will be 1 and after that again it will be 0. So for each x it will be a sequence like it begins with 0, then sometimes it will be 1, and then again it will be 0. So at each point we know that it is converging to 0. So we can say that this sequence Fn converges pointwise to 0. So you should keep this example in mind, because for the NET exam and JAM exam, all the things we need are this lot of examples in hand. Another example. What can you say? You just take a second to be familiarized with this example. What is saying? Fn of x is equal to x minus n plus 1. Because it is very difficult to understand anything from this definition, we can draw some graph. What is it saying? It is nothing but the graph of functions like this. I am drawing this from this is the graph of f1. It is from 0 to 1, it is a graph of x. From 1 to 2, it is a graph of minus x shifted to 2. And at 1, it is 1. So this is the graph of f1. That is, at 1, it is 1, and 2, it is 0, and it is 0 all the time. Then f2 is nothing but at 2. This is shifted 1 unit. That is, from 1 to 3, this is 2. So the graph is like this. And as it moving, the graph sequences are moving like this. So this is the, you don't need to remember this definition all the time, because you only need to remember those pictures. From these pictures, it is very easy to create this definition. Like if Fn will be some, at Fn this will be n, this will be n plus 2, and this midpoint will be n plus 1. So you can construct this definition. This point will be n plus 1, comma 1. So by equations of line, you can construct the function. So what can you say about this sequence? Take any point here. F1 of this point is 0. F2, if this point is in between, F2 is some non-zero value. Maybe F3 is also some non-zero value. And then after some stage, it is becoming 0. So take any point x, there will be some n such that Fn of x is equal to 0, some n naught, such that Fn of x is equal to 0 for all n greater than or equal to n naught. Like, so this sequence is also converging to 0. So these are all the examples of point-wise convergences. So you should keep these examples in mind, because whenever in exams they are asking some questions, this is very important example you should remember. Okay, now we can just go through another thing. If I'm asking a question, this is one of the important questions asking in NET. Questions will be like this. Let Fn converges to F point-wise. Then which of the following are true? Like options A will be like integral Fn converges to integral F. This is one of the most repeated question I have seen in NET exam and JAM exam. And not JAM exam, NET exam, this is the most repeated thing I have seen. So what can you say about this thing? If just in the previous slide, you can think here, we know that this Fn is converging to 0 point-wise. At any point, it is converging to 0. So what is integral of F1? Integral of F1 is nothing but the area of this portion. Otherwise, it will be 0. So integral of F1 is 0. Integral of F2 is also 0. Sorry. Integral of F1 is area of this portion. What will be area of this portion? Half into this length. 2 into height is 1, which is equal to 1. And integral of F2 is area of this portion. Half into 2 into height. So this is also integral F2 is equal to 1. So in the last example, we know that integral Fn is equal to 1 for all n, and Fn is converging to 0 point-wise. But integral Fn does not converge to integral 0. So we cannot say this thing. Like if in Fn converges to F point-wise, we cannot say that integral Fn converges to integral F. Then they can make some more confusing question, because this example we know only on the full set R. Now they can ask another question, like integral A to B Fn converges to integral A to B F. So this will be some more twisting question, like The only example we see in the finite interval was something like fn of x is equal to x raised to n. And what was where this is converging, and fn converges to 0 point-wise. Like, see, where was the convergent? 0 if x not equal to 1 and 1 if x equal to 1. So we know that this fn is converging to this function. And what, let name it as f. Then what is integral f? Integral f is 0 because it is taking non-zero value at only 1 point. So the value of function at other points are 0, so the integral will be 0. So then what is integral fn? Integral 0 to 1 fn, it will be integral x raised to n, that is x raised to n plus 1 by n plus 1 from 0 to 1, it is 1 by n plus 1. So this is converging to 0. So here in this case, integral fn is converging to integral f on 0 to 1. So we know that the integral may not converge, but that is in the full set. So we don't have an example for we don't have a counter example for this part. Like in bounded interval, whether this thing is true or not. So we have to, so that's what I'm saying. If they are asking this type of questions, we should have a handful of examples to give counter to it. So can you imagine an example for this type of questions? Okay, I will give an example. Consider the following fn. It is very difficult to write the definition of a function directly. The only intuition we will get is from graphs. So what we want a function, it should converge to 0. It is not necessary that it should converge to 0. So actually, I am trying to give an example of a sequence of function which should converge to 0 on a bounded interval, but its integral need not converge to 0 like that. Okay, so this is the idea for the function. Like integral should be always 1. This is a so I'm taking, this is from 1 by n. This is n. So I'm taking a function like this. It is 1, 0. So this is the graph of the function I am taking. If integral 0 to 1, sorry, the function is defined on 0 to 1. From 0 to 1 by n, the graph is this. So it is easy to get the, I'm not defining the function explicitly because it will be very easy. Like this will be 0 to 0 n. This point will be 1 by n 0. So you can use this y equal to mx plus c and write the graph of the equation of the function. So what will be, this is fn. What will be integral fn? Integral fn will be half into 1 by n into n. So it will be 1 by 2 all the time, right? Half into 1 by n into n, which is equal to 1 by 2. So integral fn is equal to 1 by 2 for all n. What can you say about the convergence of fn? Because take any point here, then after some stage, this graph will come here and the function will be 0 after that. So any point, so fn of x is converging to 0 for any x. It is to write because it is by Archimedean property. Take any x greater than 0, we will get a 1 by n which is less than x. Then fn of x will be 0 for all x, for all n. After that, 1 by n. Okay. So for any x, we can find a function such that after that all the terms it will be 0. So here we can say that this fn will convert to 0 point-wise, but integral fn is equal to 1 by 2 for all n. So integral some 0 to 1. Integral 0 to 1 fn does not converge to 0. So this option, the second option is also wrong. The first option is wrong. Second option is also wrong. Now there is another issue. Here I missed one thing. This integration is converging to 0 only when x not equal to 0. So what will happen if x equal to 0? There is a small problem happening, right? At 0 it is not at all converging. Here the convergence is from open interval 0, 1. Right? Here. At 0 it is going to infinity. So the convergence we will get only at open interval, because at 0 it is going to infinity. At f1 it will be 1, f2 it will be 2, f3 it will be 3, like that. So at 0 it is going to infinity. So here the convergence is only on open interval 0. So now we can again confuse, like fn converges to f pointwise on closed interval AB. Then integral fn converges to integral. So in the first case, it was like on the unbounded interval, we have a counterexample. So in the last case, we found an example for open interval 0, and also we found a counterexample. Now my question is, what will happen if it is in closed interval AB? And also I am saying that all fn's are continuous. I'm giving some conditions. Fn's continuous. So what are the things they have given? Fn is converges pointwise on closed interval AB. Integral A to and fn's are continuous. Then whether this is true, that is integral also converges. So now my claim is whether we can find a counterexample for this or not. Okay, now you should be familiar with this example also, because this is the way we can tackle these questions. Okay. Now another counterexample. Similarly, it is not easy to write the equation of the function directly. So be familiar with the construction of these type of functions. So take this is at 1 by n. So what is the idea we need? We don't need the function to be going like this. If it is going like this, then at 0 it won't converge. So what are we going to do is, at 1 by n, I am giving this n at 1 by 2n. Then how will be the graph look like? It is like this type. Here the all fn's are continuous and fn is converging to 0. So it is like, it is very nice thing. This all fn's are continuous and fn converges to 0 pointwise. How is it true? Is it converging pointwise? In the same method, take any, choose any x by Archimedean property, you can find a 1 by n which is less than x. Then after that n, the fn of x will be 0, because if x is take somewhere here, then 1 by n will be less than that. Then fn of x at that point will be 0. So then what is the integral of fn? Integral fn from 0 to 1. It will be same, the area of this triangle. What is the area of this triangle? Half into base into height, half into 1 by n into n. It is equal to half. So here also integral fn is equal to 1 by 2 for all n. Hence integral fn does not, integral fn does not converge to integral 0. So now they can ask one more question. So in this example also there is another issue. This, as n is going to infinity, the functions are getting unbounded. Like this fn, each fn is getting the value n. So you cannot say that these fn's are bounded by some common value. So now they can ask like fn converges to, because in unbounded interval case we have the functions, because all the functions are bounded by 1. So they cannot ask such a question in unbounded case. So here the problem is fn converges to f pointwise on closed interval AB. Then modulus of fn of x is less than or equal to m for all x and for all n. That is, it is bounded by a common bound. So because for all fn is bounded by some value. Because last example it is not like that. Because you take any bound, then fn will be, there is take some n greater than that, fn of x will be n at some point. So these functions are not bounded by a uniform bound. So now another claim is, if it is bounded by a uniform bound, what will happen? Like if fn is converges to f pointwise on closed interval AB, mod fn of x less than or equal to m for all x and for all n, then integral a to b Fn converges to integral a to b f. Now, I'm sorry to say one thing, like this is actually not, I think it is not the scope of a JAM syllabus, but it is better to understand this thing. For net syllabus, it is very trivial. It is by dominated convergence theorem, because I know that there are a lot of people preparing for net also. So here it is nothing but dominated convergence theorem. Like if we have a sequence of functions, everything is bounded by some integrable thing, then the limit, we can interchange the limit. So that is the result we have to use here. But for JAM aspirants, you just learn this. If Fn converges F pointwise and it is bounded by some common bound, then we can interchange this limit. That is integral a to b Fn will converge to integral a to b Fn. So these are the common type of questions you can ask in pointwise convergence. Okay, so all the time, please note these type of examples. We should be able to construct these type of examples whenever needed. I will show one more example of this kind in the next section. Okay. So this was the function we have started, Fn of x. This is a triangle type function. Here this Fn converges to 0 pointwise, but the integral Fnx is equal to 1 for all n. Okay. So what is the type we have discussed here? I will just recalling that question. This Fn converges to F pointwise need not imply integral Fn converges to integral F. It is not true in unbounded set, even if in the bounded set, even if in the closed interval. The only thing possible is if everything is bounded by something, some common bound or some integrable function, then this integral will converge. If that's not, things are not there, then we cannot say this. So we should be able to construct these type of examples at the time of exam. So please familiar with this type of constructions. It's not easy to learn all these definitions, but it is very easy to construct these type of examples. Okay. Now we can just move to uniform convergence. So the last definition we were trying to say is that if Fn converges to F pointwise means at each point it will be a sequence, and that sequence should converge. Like we all know what is the definition of the sequence and what is the definition of convergence of a sequence. So we say that if Fn converges to F pointwise, if for each x that sequence should converge. So this uniform convergence is something very strong notion, such that we are saying it is not pointwise. It is not depending on the point. The function itself is converging to some other function. Its definition I will explain. So this Fn converges to F uniformly means, sorry, what is Fn converges to F pointwise means what? This Fn of x should converge to F of x for all x. This is what we need about pointwise convergence. Means what? What is the definition? For any epsilon greater than 0, this Fn of x minus F of x should be less than epsilon whenever this n is greater than some quantity. So it is like we are taking for each point x. At each point x, we should find an n. So that n is depending on x, because we are trying, for each x we are getting different sequences. So for that each sequence we are trying to find that n. So that n should be like there exists an nx belongs to the natural numbers such that this thing is less than epsilon whenever n is greater than or equal to nx. So what we need for each x, we have to find an nx such that Fn of x minus F of x is less than epsilon whenever this n is greater than or equal to nx. So it is, we are treating it as separate sequences. Actually, we are while doing pointwise convergence, we are not at all dealing anything with functions. We are only doing that at each point it should converge. That's all the definition of pointwise convergence. But while coming to uniform convergence, we are saying like this n should not depend on the point x. So the uniform convergence is very easy. The definition is this Fnx minus f of x should be less than epsilon for all n greater than or equal to some n naught and for all x. That means this n naught is independent of this n naught should be independent of x. That means in pointwise convergence, for we are treating it as separate sequence. But in uniform convergence, we are treating it as a function. This function itself is converging to some f. Means we have to get this n independent of this point. Then we can you will understand if you just take some examples. First one, this characteristic function. So you know this characteristic function. First one this, second one here, third one here. So what was the type of convergence here? If we change the point, it will be difficult. Like here, if the point is this 3, then f1 is 0. So f1 of 3 is 0, but f2 of 3 will be 1, and then again 0. So here for the convergence, we can take this n3 as 2. Sorry, 3. N3 as 3. And for each point, that n will depend on that point. So here, this function is pointwise convergence only. So can you make this function uniform convergence? That's our question. Make some small changes to this thing and we can make it uniform convergence. That is an example. We can write fn of x is equal to, if it is like just like this, n to n plus 1, this is just pointwise convergence. We can just divide this by n. Then what will happen? This entire sequence is less than 1 by n. So whenever you take an epsilon greater than 0, you know that there will be a 1 by n less than epsilon by Archimedean property. Choose any epsilon greater than 0. You can choose n 1 by n which is less than epsilon. So after that n, irrespective of the point, fnx is less than epsilon because fn of x is 1 by n multiplied by that. So in earlier case, if it is characteristic function, after any stage the function is taking the value 1. So it cannot converge uniformly because if you take any point, after some stage it will get 1. So you cannot say that the convergence is uniform. So that's why we are taking if you just multiply this by 1 by n, then by Archimedean property for any epsilon greater than 0, we can choose 1 by n which is less than epsilon. So this fn of x will, this sequence, this fn will convert to 0 uniformly. Okay, what is the next example? What can you say about f of x, fn of x equal to x raised to n? Fn of x is equal to x raised to n. Okay, first we think it in closed interval 0, 1. What can you say about is this convergent? We know that it is converging to 0 on non-zero point, sorry, on the points which is less than 1 and convergent to like this. F of x is equal to 0 if x not equal to 1, 1 if x equal to 1. So we know that this fn converges to f pointwise. Is this convergence uniform? Means can you find the epsilon? Sorry, for if you choose let epsilon equal to some half. My question is, will you able to choose an n such that this fn of x minus f of x will be less than half for every x and for every n greater than or equal to some n naught. So my question is whether you can find such an n. This is my question. So what is the idea for doing here? Like we can think like this. If possible there exists some n naught. Okay, then what we can do? So my question, then my claim is there will be some x which such that this n naught is not satisfying. Okay, so I'm claiming that there exists an n naught which is valid for all x. So if I want to prove that this is not uniformly convergent, what I have to do? I'm going to prove that there exists some point x such that this L naught is not useful. So for that, what I have to do? I have to prove that this modulus of fnx minus, or this fn naught of x minus f of x must be greater than half for some x. So how to find this? F of x is 0. If x is non-zero, this f of x is 0, so we don't need to take very much care about this f of x. So what point we can take? So we want to take some point which is greater than 1 by 2. That is only point here. So I'm just taking 3 by 4 whole raised to 1 by n naught. This is the point I'm taking. Then what will be f n naught of x? It will be f n naught of x minus f of x. So we know that since x is not equal to 1, this f of x will be 0. So this is nothing but modulus of fn naught of x whole raised to, it will be 3 by 4. And we know that it is strictly greater than half. So we can say that this fn of x is equal to x raised to n is not converging uniformly to cos inverse 0, 1. I hope that you may have seen this example in other cases, like using other theorems, but it is very easy to prove directly that it is not uniformly convergent. Even when I'm studying, I also didn't see this as directly. So fn does not converge to f uniformly. Okay. And what about, so here, what is the thing we are taking? It is like we are moving towards 1, because if n naught is, we are taking as much as bigger, this 3 by 4 whole raised to 1 by n, it will go to like this x raised to 1 by n, it will go to 1, we know, if n x is a positive integer, sorry, positive number, then we know this x raised to 1 by n is converging to 1. So the thing is that we are moving towards 1. So to get uniform convergence, we can think like fn of x is equal to x raised to n on some closed interval 1 by 2. So these are all common net exam questions. Like I have seen it somewhere. I will show you the examples. Like the questions will be asking like this question: fn of x is equal to x raised to n on some closed interval 0, 1. Then options will be like fn converges to 0 and f of x is equal to 0 if x not equal to 0, 1 if x sorry, equal to 1. Then the questions will be like fn converges to 0 just f point wise. Question will be fn converges to f uniformly c fn converges to f uniformly on closed interval 0, half. So this was one question I have seen on some question paper. So we already proved that it is not uniformly convergent on closed interval 0, 1. So the important point we have used is that we can take any point very near to 1. But here we don't have that option. Here in closed interval 0, 1 by 2, we can only take numbers near to 1 by 2, because after 1 by 2 it is not possible. So my question is whether it is uniformly convergent on closed interval 0, 1 by 2. Or more easily we can ask like fn converges to f uniformly on 0a for any a less than 1. So this is one question I have seen somewhere. So what is the idea of if we can do C, then similarly we can do D. So what can you say about the convergence of x raised to n on closed interval 0, half? So here we know that fn converges to 0. Okay. Here there is a small issue. Like so on 0, 1 by 2, it will be completely 0. Okay. Okay. So here we know that fn converges to 0. Point-wise we know. Point-wise we know. My question is, how can we prove that it is uniformly convergent? But we know that for each n, this function x raised to n is an increasing function, because if x is increasing, the function will increase. So since fn of x converges to 0 for all x, there will be an n. We can each x we can find an nx. So this fn of 1 by 2 is also converging to 0, and there will be an n corresponding to this 1 by 2. Like modulus of fn of 1 by 2 minus 0 will be less than epsilon for all n greater than or equal to some, we can call it as n half. This corresponding to this half, we can find an n such that we can, corresponding to half, for every epsilon we can find an n half such that fn of half minus 0 is less than epsilon. Now, since this function is increasing function, this n half will be suitable for all numbers less than that. Why? Because since what will be modulus of fn of x? Modulus of fn of x is always less than or equal to fn of 1 by 2, because we are taking x only here. Fn of x is always less than or equal to fn of less than 1 by 2, and this will be less than epsilon when n is greater than n half. So we can prove that for any x, if you take that n as n half, we can get the convergence. So here the point is not at all depending on the points. So if the function we are taking on closed interval 0 half, then the function is uniformly convergent. Then what is the problem if we are taking it on closed interval 0 1? On closed interval 0 1 also the function is increasing, but we cannot use the n corresponding to 1 for the numbers in previous, because the n corresponding to 1 is anything, because at n this fn of 1 is equal to 1 all the time, but fn of x is not converging to 1. Here for all x it is converging to 0. Here it is not. So there is some problem in continuity. That is the main issue causing here. Here this fn of 1 is equal to 1. So we cannot use, because in fn of 1 it will be like fn of 1 minus 1. But for all numbers less than that, we need fn of x minus 0. So this idea we cannot use here. But here if it is, so in the last option also, if fn of x is equal to x raised to n on closed interval 0a, then the same technique we can apply here, because fn of a will convert to 0, and since it is an increasing function, the n corresponding to a will be working for all the numbers which is less than a. So here, this is the one question I have seen on the net question paper, like fn converges to 0 uniformly on closed interval 0a for any a which is strictly less than 1. But if the a is 1, it is not. Okay, so you should remember the proof of all these things. You should do all these proofs, so that then only you will get familiarized with what is the uniform convergence and what is the difference between uniform convergence and point-wise convergence. I hope you understand all these things. So these were the examples. If a equal to r, this characteristic function converges uniformly. And what about this problem? This one also we have seen, right? One example, like this one. Second one is this one. Third one is this one. Like, so what about the convergence of this sequence? I mean, is it converging uniformly or pointwise? Since fn is equal to 1, you take epsilon is equal to half. If you take epsilon equal to half, you take any point x. You take any point x, you can find an n such that x is less than n. Then what can you say about fn of that? Okay, so take any n, you can find take any x, you can find an x such that, sorry, an n such that x is coming here and its image will be 1 or some positive number. So here it is not uniformly convergent. Okay, so that means if you, for all points we need to find a uniform thing. That's what we call uniform convergence. Okay. Okay, so now we can move to some important theorems of uniform convergence. First one, these are all very simple results and you should know all these things. First one, if fn is a sequence of real valued functions on a, is that fn converges uniformly to f, then fn is continuous, then so is f. Or in other words, we can say that uniform limit of continuous functions is continuous. It's very easy to prove. Suppose like if Fn converges to F uniformly and Fn's are continuous. So what we need to prove? F is continuous. So if we want to prove F is continuous at some point, what we will do? Like choose epsilon greater than 0. We need Fnx minus, we want to find, we want to prove that F is continuous at some point x0. So what we will do? We have to find the delta such that modulus of Fx minus Fx0 should be less than epsilon. So what to do? The similar technique. We will just add and subtract some Fn0 in between. So it will be like Fx minus Fnx plus modulus of Fnx minus Fnx0 plus modulus of Fnx0 minus Fx0. Then the proof is done. Why? Since this is uniform convergent, we can choose n very large such that since this is uniform convergent for any epsilon greater than 0, we know that we can find this Fx minus Fnx can be less than epsilon when we choose n very large. So we can choose very n large to add and subtract such that this difference will be, we need the whole thing should be less than epsilon. So we are taking this epsilon by 3, this thing epsilon by 3, this epsilon by 3. So we can choose a very large thing such that this is less than epsilon by 3. Now we know that this Fn is continuous. So corresponding to, so here also we need epsilon by 3. So corresponding to epsilon by 3, we get a delta for this Fn such that this difference is less than epsilon by 3. And similarly, since it is uniform convergent, this point will not depend on the point. So this thing also will be less than epsilon by 3 is equal to epsilon. So this is a proof for F is continuous. Like if all Fn's are continuous, then F is also continuous. Similarly, if all Fn's are uniform continuous, what will happen? Choose epsilon greater than 0. Similarly, if we want f of x minus f of y, there will be no point like this. Here we are trying to prove the continuity at x0. Now, for uniform continuity means it should not depend on x0. Here, this delta is depending on the point x0 because here we are taking the continuity at x0 only. Here the delta will depend on this x0. But here we want to prove that it is uniformly continuous. Suppose that all Fn's are uniformly continuous. Then what will happen if Fnx minus f of y? Same steps. Fx minus Fnx plus modulus of Fnx minus Fny plus modulus of Fny minus f of y. Since it is uniform convergent, we can choose to add and subtract, we can choose an Fn such that n is very large and this is less than epsilon by 3. Okay, it's only possible because of uniform convergence. Otherwise, it will depend on points. Okay, because we know examples of continuous functions converging to discontinuous function. The first example, f of x is equal to x raised to n on closed interval 0, 1. It was converging, all the functions are continuous and even uniformly continuous because continuous functions on closed intervals are uniformly continuous. But it is converging to a discontinuous function. So we are doing this only because we have uniform convergence. So this epsilon by Fn of x minus f of x will be less than epsilon by 3 such that we can choose n very large. Okay, plus here we know that Fn is uniformly convergent, so there will be a delta corresponding to this Fn. So choose that delta, then we will get this thing also less than epsilon by 3. And here this again Fny minus f of y be less than epsilon by 3, which is equal to epsilon. So these are very important results. If Fn is all Fn's are continuous and we have uniform convergence, then the limit is also continuous. So that means uniform limit of continuous functions are continuous. Uniform limit of uniform continuous functions are also continuous. So, but for the point-wise convergences, we know it may not be true. Like if Fn of x is equal to x raised to n on closed interval 0, 1, I mentioned it earlier. It's like here all the Fn's are uniformly continuous, but Fn converges to this function 0 when x not equal to 1 and 1 if x equal to 1. So it is not continuous. So fn's are all uniformly continuous, but the limit is not continuous. So now my question is the converse true? Like if fn converges to f and fn's and f are continuous, is the convergence uniform? So this is another type of question, a similar question for NET exam. Like let fn converges to f pointwise, fn comma f continuous. Which of the following are true? This question. Like fn converges to f uniformly. B. Okay, I will first explain, then we can go to option B. Is this true if fn, all fn's are continuous and it is converging to a continuous function, whether it should be a uniformly convergent? Because the example we know is x raised to n, it is converging to a discontinuous function, so it is not uniform convergent. That is okay, because we know that if it is uniform convergent, this is not possible. Like if the convergence is uniform, then the limit function must be continuous. So now my question is the converse true? All fn's are continuous, it is converging to f. Does it, and f is also continuous, does it implies that the convergence is uniform? So we have an example in our hand. This one. It's like, first one is this. It is continuous, even uniformly continuous. And this one. So here these functions are converging to 0 pointwise, and all fn's are continuous, and all f is also continuous. But we know that this fn is not converging uniformly. So this option is wrong. Now they can confuse you by next part. How? If fn converges to f pointwise on closed interval AB and fn comma f continuous, then A, okay, A I have written already. Now it will be like, then fn converges to f uniformly. What can you say about this question? If it is convergence on closed interval AB, is this convergent uniform? How can you prove this? So for this, we need a very difficult example. Okay, we already come across some examples like this, right? Do you remember any example? Like we need continuous functions converge to some another continuous function, but the convergence should not be uniform. So how to, we obviously we cannot remember the examples, we can only need to construct. Can we think about this function? But this function has a small issue. Here it is closed interval AB. Here we know that the convergence is only on open interval AB. At 0 it is not converging. So we cannot think about this function. If the option is bounded, if fn converges to f pointwise on a bounded interval, then we can use this as a counter example. But here we cannot use this. So I am taking another example we have come across. 0, 1, 1 by n. What was here? 1 by 2n. So what can you say about this function? This is n. So what can you say here? Whether this convergence is uniform? Obviously not, because we want modulus of fnx minus f of x is less than epsilon after some stage. Here you take any n, you can take an epsilon x such that it is less than 1 by n. Then it will be somewhere here, and its image is getting higher. Like, right? If you take any small elements, its image is getting higher and higher. So this is not true. Okay, so this thing is not at all converging uniformly. We have another result to prove that this is not uniform convergent. Anyway, here this is an example. If fn converges to f pointwise on closed interval AB, then, and even here all the fn's are continuous and it is converging to 0, but still the convergence is not uniform. Okay, so they can confuse you in any ways, but you should be very much aware about constructing these type of examples. Okay, then one more confusion, like see, if Fn converges to F pointwise, what all things we can add? That's our aim. We have to add more and more conditions and try to make more and more counterexamples. Then we will be very much confident about this subject. If Fn converges to F pointwise, we can on closed interval AB. Because on unbounded set, which is very easy to construct examples. Okay, because it is all the things, it was uniformly continuous, all the things were there. Fn converges to F pointwise on AB. Fn, comma F uniformly continuous, the last example is enough because all the things were uniformly continuous because it is on the closed interval AB. They are all uniformly continuous. So there is no need to give another example for uniform continuity. So here we can add one more thing. What? Modulus of Fn of x is less than or equal to m for all n comma x. That it is uniformly bounded. Then Fn converges to F uniformly. So for this option, we cannot use this because it is going unbounded. As n is increasing, it is going unbounded. So, but here there is a bound. So this is another question they can ask. This is a common type of questions asked in there. So how can we tackle this? So we need a different example. All the examples we have come across so far is not suitable for this question. Okay. So what can you do? This is and just keep this example in mind. This is 1 by n. This is 1. And this is 1 by 2n. And the height. So I think that if you are familiar, if you have this example, then most of the problems in these type of questions are done. So this is 1, 2, 0. This is the graph of Fn of x. So what can you say about? Okay. So what can you say about this graph? Here, all the things are bounded because at any point, at any function, it is bounded by 1 only. Okay, it is not going like last step. It is increasing, keep on increasing. Okay, so here, take any number n. There will be for epsilon equal to half. If you take epsilon equal to half, you take any n. If it is very big n, there will be some x very small such that it have values like near to 1. No? So this function is not uniformly convergent. So I have a small request such that it is not easy to prove these things during this class. All of you should prove all these type of examples with rigorous statements. Okay, these are just inductions I'm giving to prove that it is not uniformly convergent. So here, if you take any big n, there will be some x in between such that its height will be 1. Okay, so it will not be less than 1 by 2. So here also this Fn does not convert to 0 uniformly. So this question is also done. If Fn converges to F pointwise on AB, Fn and F all these are continuous and uniformly continuous and bounded, but still the convergence is not uniform. Actually, it is better to keep one thing in mind. Like uniform convergence is such a very huge demand. For the most of the properties to get to hold, you don't need uniform convergence. Uniform convergence is the most beautiful convergence we have. Actually, for MSc students, you have already come across this L1 convergence, L2 convergence, a lot of things. So you know that supreme L infinity convergence is the most difficult convergence or most demanding convergence. So even if you add a lot of things, it is very difficult to get a uniform convergence. So if you have questions, if in net they are asking questions like this, it is better to try to find out a counterexample than try to proving it. Okay, with most of the cases it won't be uniform convergence. But other things is not like integral, interchanging of integral. It is the other way. To interchange integral, there will be a lot of possibilities. But to get a uniform convergence is very difficult. Okay, so uniform convergence is a highly demanding thing. So in most of the questions like this, you will get counter examples such that the things will not be uniformly convergent. Okay, so This is the most important example. This is the last one. You should keep this in mind. For most of the questions, you can use this as a counter example. Okay. This was the first property of theorem on uniform convergence. If Fn is continuous for all n, then so is F. This also we proved if Fn is uniformly continuous, then also so is F. Then if Fn is bounded, if all Fn are bounded, how can you prove that if Fn's bounded? Okay, when we have to prove that F is also bounded. Okay, what can you say about it? We know that if you take any epsilon, we can find an n such that the convergence is there. So I'm choosing epsilon equal to 1. Then we know that modulus of, there exists an n such that modulus of Fnx minus f of x is less than 1 for all x. That is, it is independent of n. Independent of x, we will get a n. So we have a function like this. Then from here, we will get modulus of this f of x is less than some 1 plus Fn of x and minus 1 plus Fn of x is less than like this. Oh, sorry, it is not readable. So f of x is in between this. If f of x is not bounded above, then this will create an issue. We know that Fn is bounded. If Fn of x is not bounded below, then this will create an issue. So this is a very simple proof that if all Fn's are bounded, then the convergent thing also must be bounded. But we need uniform convergence. Now, very simple question, like let Fn converges to F pointwise and Fn comma F bounded. Option A, Fn converges to F uniformly. Is this true? Fn's are converged. So we can use the just previous example. Sorry, this previous example. They are all bounded. So all the thing boundedness doesn't give uniform convergence. As I already told, the uniform convergence is very highly demanding thing. So this type of silly things won't give uniform convergence. Just pointwise things are bounded won't give uniform convergence. So this is wrong. So now we can ask another thing. Can you give an example of pointwise convergence thing? A bounded thing converge unbounded thing. I would think that you won't come across such an example. So I'm going to give an example of Fn's bounded and Fn converges to F pointwise, but F unbounded. F unbounded. So is this possible if all Fn's are bounded and Fn, we know that if Fn converges to F uniformly, then F cannot be unbounded. So now my question is, does there exist a sequence of functions, bounded functions, converging pointwise to another function, but that F is unbounded? So this is also a common question it can be asked in ethics exam. So it is very easy to, it is not easy to write an example, it is easy to draw an example. So I'm simply constructing identity function, and F1 is till 1 it is identity function, and then after that it is constant. This is F1. A graph of F1 is, sorry, this one. Graph of F2 is till 2 it is identity, then it is constant. Till 3 it is identity, then it is constant. Till 4 it is identity, then it is constant. Okay, so all the functions are bounded, but the limit function, it is identity function. These functions are converging to identity function, and the identity function is not bounded. So here there is an issue that we are doing it in unbounded set. So now they can ask another way, like if Fn converges to, oh sorry, I'm using this notepad for the first time. So that's why my handwriting is not good and I can't draw straight lines. Now this Fn converges to F pointwise on closed interval 0, 1, and Fn's bounded is it implies that f is bounded. Is f bounded? How to give a counterexample for this? So first you need an unbounded function on closed interval 0, 1. Then only you can start with some examples. So what is a very common example for an unbounded function in closed interval 0, 1? It is nothing but 1 by x. Okay. So on 0, 1, take 1 by x. Now on x not equal to 0, and at 0 it is 0. Now how can you get a sequence converging to this? Obviously we know there won't be any uniformly converging sequence. So we want the sequence pointwise convergence to this, and all things should be bounded. How to do? Take any point, just draw from here. Oh, sorry. Right. So I'm just drawing like this. Okay. So F1, I'm starting from this point. This is F1. Like up to this point, it is this line, and after this, it is 1 by x. And then draw this line. Draw this line. I hope you understand what are these lines. So graph of F1 is this. Graph of F2 is this. Graph of F3 is this. So it is converging to this because after some stage, it is getting, for each x, there will be some part and it is equal to that. So all these functions are converging to the 1 by x. All these functions are bounded because it is continuous function closed interval. So all these functions are bounded, but it is converging to an unbounded function. Okay. So if we are there are pointwise convergence, there exists sequence of bounded functions which is converging to an unbounded function. So the questions will be coming like this. Does there exist a sequence of bounded functions which converging to an unbounded function? Does there exist a sequence of bounded function on bounded interval which is converging to an unbounded function? So at all these times, I keep on saying you cannot give direct examples, but for answering questions you just need graphs. So be familiar with these type of graphs. Okay. Now my question is, if what happens if it is uniformly bounded? Like here the functions are not uniformly bounded. Each function has an upper bound. That's all we can say. Each function is bounded. So my question is, what will happen if all fn of x is less than or equal to m for all n and all x? Okay. Then we can obviously, it is true that it can't exceed this m because all things are less than or equal to something. So all the sequences are less than or equal to m, or it is bounded in a small interval. So the limits also should be there. Okay. So if the sequences are in some ball, its images cannot exceed that. Okay. So if it is uniformly bounded, then the function will be also bounded. So you will get boundedness all the time. If we have some small conditions, we will get boundedness. But don't expect uniform convergence. Uniform convergence is something very highly demanding thing. Okay. So this is our third theorem. If Fn is bounded for all n, then so is F. So this is one of the important next result, that if A is bounded, if A is a bounded set, then we can interchange the limit and integral. Like in the first example, from the first examples we are seeing, like if Fn converges to F, the integration need not converge, right? But here is an important theorem. If we have uniform convergence, most importantly, it should be on bounded set. So I'm keep on specifying this thing. If we will get this thing only if we have bounded set. If it is not true in unbounded set, if A is a bounded set, then integral over A Fn will converge to integral over AF, and we should have uniform convergence. Also very easy to prove. How to prove that? Let bounded set I am taking as A to B. I am not taking any difficult sets. I am just only taking A to B. Okay. So let Fn converges to F on closed interval A to B. So what we need? We need to prove that integral Fn converges to integral. So we need to find integral Fn of x minus integral f of x. We want this should be some less than epsilon, something like that, right? So this is AB, A to B. So what is this? This is less than or equal to modulus of, okay, so we are choosing an epsilon greater than 0. We need to find an n such that this is less than some epsilon, okay? So what will be this? This is less than or equal to modulus of integral a to b fnx minus f of x dx, and this is again less than, sorry, this is equal to. So this is integral a to b modulus of fnx minus f of x. I hope you know this thing from the properties of integration. Now see here. Here we are taking an epsilon greater than 0. We know that this fn is converging to f uniformly. So you can, if we are taking very large n, independent of x, this will be less than epsilon. Because it means for any x, we will get an n which is independent of this point x. So this fn of x minus f of x will be less than epsilon for some very big n. So this will be less than or equal to, we can take that epsilon outside, epsilon into b minus a. Means it will be constant inside and the length of the interval. So here is the important property of the boundedness. Here if the interval is not a to b, it will be some 0 to infinity, then we cannot say that this is going to 0. Here if you choose any epsilon less than 0, we will getting this as less than epsilon into a constant quantity. This is enough. But if the interval is not finite, it is not easy to find an example like this. Okay, so keep this in mind. Okay, then we can ask questions like this. How will be the questions? Fn converges to f. Let Fn, like if integral Fn converges to f point-wise on AB implies integral Fn converges to integral f. Fn converges to f uniformly on AB implies integral a to b Fn converges to integral a to b f. So this thing we know that it is not true. We have found a lot of examples like this one. Like this was the example we have seen, right? This is 0, 1 by n, and 1, and this is n. So the integrals were always 1, but so the integral a to b Fn will be always 1. It is not convergent to integral f. So the first option is wrong. Second option is true by our previous theorem. So the third option is Fn converges to f uniformly on, I told that we need boundedness to prove the theorem. It is there. So we want a counterexample on 0 infinity implies integral 0 to infinity Fn converges to integral 0 to infinity f. Now D, Fn converges to f point-wise, integral Fn converges to integral f implies Fn converges to f uniformly. So this is the things they can confuse. Like first option we solved already. Second option we proved already. Third option, that is, I will give a counterexample. If Fn converges to f uniformly, then this is not true. This need not be true, so I will give a counterexample for this. What happens to the fourth option? If Fn converges to f point-wise and integral Fn's are convergent, then Fn converges to f uniformly. For the last option also, we have a counterexample. Fn of x is equal to x raised to n. Here, Fn converges to that 0 and 1 point-wise. And integral Fn, we know that integral Fn is 1 by n plus 1, it is also converging to 0, but the convergence is not uniform. So convergence of integral doesn't give uniform convergence. So here also I am telling one more thing, like uniform convergence is something very huge concept, a very strong thing. All these theorems doesn't imply uniform convergence. Okay. Now we have to give an example, counterexample for option C. Like 0 to infinity. So for 0 to infinity, does it imply, if convergence is uniform, does it imply this result? So how to give such an example? Okay. So please keep this example in mind, or try to please keep the construction in mind. I'm giving a construction like this. This is plain. Fn, graph of Fn is this one. This is minus 1 by n to 1 by n. Sorry, minus n to n. I'm drawing a graph of. Oh, our question is from 0 to infinity, right? So, okay, I don't need this part. On 0 to n, I am taking 1 by n. After that, it is 0. Okay. Okay, so I think we were discussing about this question. This Fn converges to F uniformly on R. Fn's are continuous. Then integral over R Fn converges to integral over R F. So in the previous example, we saw that this is not true, but in the previous example, we don't have continuity. So now we need, so I hope that that example, everybody saw that example, right? Or I don't know where this is, my connection breaks. Okay, anyway, I'm continuing from this. Okay, so how to find an example for this? We need continuous functions on R such that the integrals are not converging, but it should be uniformly convergent. So this is some n minus n to m, and this is 1 by n. I'm drawing a graph like this. So it's a triangle-like thing. So this is a graph of Fn. So since it is a height is 1 by n, it is decreasing to 0. We know that it is uniformly converges to 0. So now the only thing is that whether the integration is there. So what is integral of Fn of x? Integral over R Fn of x? It is after this minus n and after this plus n, it is 0. So it is area of the graph. So it is half into total length is 2n into 1 by n, which is equal to 1. So integral of Fn is always 1. So but the convergence is, it is 0. So the area is, sorry, the convergence is not happening here. So other things here, so all Fn's are converging uniformly on R, and all the things are continuous, but still the integration is, we cannot interchange the integrals. Okay. So these are the types of questions they could confuse you. Okay. So this is if A is bounded, then please keep in mind that to interchange the integrals and limit, it should be bounded. Otherwise, it need not be. Okay. Now, this is very important result, but I didn't see this thing in net exams or other thing, but just see this theorem. Like if we know that uniform limit of continuous function continuous, and uniform limit of uniform continuous things are bounded, uniform continuous like this. But by seeing all these results, we may think that if Fn's are differentiable, and then Fn prime also will uniformly convert F prime. That is not true. So this is a theorem. If Fn is differentiable for all n, and if Fn prime converges uniformly to G, oh sorry, I have missed a small statement. Fn converges to F, I have missed. Sorry. So this is a theorem we have. If Fn converges to F uniformly and Fn prime on AB. This is, I haven't seen this question that much in net exam. I'm stating this theorem. If Fn prime converges to G uniformly, then F prime is equal to G. So this is the important result. We cannot say that if Fn converges to F uniformly and it is ARL differentiable, we cannot say directly like Fn primes are converging to G. The best example is sin nx by root 10. Fn of x is equal to Fn of x is equal to sin nx by root 10 on some any closed interval AB. It is fine. So we know that the sin nx, it is bounded by 1. So it is 1 by root n. It will convert to 0 uniformly on any interval. So whenever we have something by root n or something like this, then we have this uniform convergence. So we don't need to worry about uniform convergence. And all fn's are differentiable. And what is fn prime of x? Fn prime of x will be n cos x cos nx by root n, and it is root n cos nx. But this is not at all convergent, right? Because cos nx, it is fluctuating and root n is going to infinity. So if n is increasing, it will not even converge. So we cannot say that if fn is converging, we cannot say anything about the convergence of its primes. But if the derivatives are also converging, then we can say that f prime is equal to g. So this is an important result regarding this question. Okay, so fn is differentiable for all n. Fn prime converges to g uniformly, the f is differentiable. The converses of the above statements are not true. I think now you are all okay with that, because we have seen a lot of examples such that its converses are not true. Okay. Now, it is all the examples we have seen above. We can check the uniform convergence by very directly. It was very easy to check the uniform convergence, but in most of the cases it won't be like that. So this is one of the theorem. It is direct. The theorem is very direct to prove, but I'm not going to prove here because already it is 1.5 hours. I'm just going through these things. If fn is a sequence of real valued functions and fn converges uniformly if and only if the supremum is convergent to 0. Supremum of fn minus f is, since it is equal to x e raised to minus nx square. X e raised to minus nx square. So we know that, So we know that this fn is converging to 0 because e raised to minus nx square, it is exponential thing. So it is converging to 0. So we need what will happen. So we cannot say anything about this uniform convergence here, because it is looking like very difficult thing. In other cases, it was like graphs, and we can easily tell that whether the n will depend on x or not. But here the function itself is very complicated thing. So we cannot say directly like whether it will depend on x or not. So in such cases, we have to use that result. Like we want to prove that supremum over x modulus of fnx minus f of x. Here, this fn converges to 0 pointwise. So, supremum of fn of x, it should go to 0. This is what we need to prove. So, first we need to find what is supremum of fnx. Then only we can compute whether it converts to 0 or not. So, how to do that? How to find the supremum of a function? We have done it in our +2, like if fn of x is equal to x e raised to minus nx square, we will just find its derivative. What is fn prime of x? It will be e raised to minus nx square minus 2 nx square e raised to minus nx square, which is equal to e raised to minus nx square into 1 minus 2nx square. So this is the derivative. So when it will become 0, so fn prime of x equal to 0 whenever implies 1 minus 2nx square is equal to 0, implies x is equal to plus or minus 1 by root 2n. So these are the places where the function will have local maxima or local minima. But at that 2 points, the function will have same values because we are taking about the supremums. So we don't need to care about plus or minus because we want modulus of fn of x. So we can just take 1 by root n. Now we have doubt about what will be the global extremas and local extremas. But since this function is exponential thing, at infinities it will go to 0. So we don't need to care about the global extremas. The global extremas will be the local extremas here because they are all bounded functions. So the supremum will attain at these 2 points, 1 by 2n or minus 1 by root 2n. At both points, the modulus will be same. So we don't need to care about the signs also. So what will be supremum of mod fnx? It will be evaluating this at that point. So it will be e raised to 1 by 2n into n. So e raised to 1 by 2, e raised to minus half by root 2n, right? Yes. So we know that as n tends to infinity, this will go to 0. So from our earlier theorem, if supremum of this thing will convert to 0, then we can say that it is uniformly convergent to 0. Okay. So just please keep this in mind. In a similar way, since the time is running, I'm not going to explain the next question. Next thing, I will move on to next section. The Fn of x equal 1 by n square x square. This is also asked in one net question paper. You can just you don't need to do all these things. You can just find out it by inspection. But here, it is not like that. If the question is very difficult, you have to use this theorem. Okay. I will just end the section by telling Weierstrass approximation theorem. So this is one of the most important results we should learn in analysis. Like this shows the significance, like why we are learning polynomials. Like any continuous functions, we can approximate using polynomials uniformly. If it's a continuous real valued function on closed interval AB, then there is a sequence of polynomials, so that the sequence converges to F uniformly. So it's a very important result. You should keep this result in mind all the time. Like if you have any continuous function, you can approximate it using polynomials, and the convergence is uniform. That is the most important result. These two questions, I think the first question is asked in NET or something. Second one was asked in ISI question paper for MSc entrance, the e raised to xt. But anyway, for solving the second question, we need the first question. So I will just solve the first question and then we will go to the second question. Okay. So what is given? What is given? Integral 0 to 1 t raised to n ft dt is equal to 0. Integral 0 to 1 t raised to n ft dt is equal to 0 for all. Yeah. Okay. So what is the point of sequence or something here? We cannot say that if integral is 0 doesn't imply the function is 0, right? Because integral of sin x over 0 to 2 pi is 0, but the function is non-zero here. But here it is saying that integral t raised to n f of t dt equal to 0 for all n. So from here we can say that integral 0 to 1 t raised to n plus some 2t raised to m into f of t dt is also 0, right? Because t raised to m in f of t dt is also 0. 2 times will be also 0. So you can make like this. So using this, we can say that integral 0 to 1 some polynomial in t, because this is a polynomial. Like this, we can create any polynomial. So integral 0 to 1 p of t into f of t dt will be 0 for any polynomial p. Now we can use this Weierstrass approximation theorem, because we know that there is a polynomial sequence converging to f uniformly on closed interval AB. Okay, so here I missed a small thing. If f should be continuous, okay, because we can approximate only continuous functions via polynomial things. So it was there in the question. Okay, here converges to f uniformly on closed interval AB. So from here, this is true for any polynomials. So we can say that integral 0 to 1 Pn of t into f of t dt is also equal to 0 for all n. So if Pn converges to f uniformly, where will this Pnf converge? If Pn converges to f uniformly, where will Pnf converge? It will converge to f square. So, and it is converging uniformly on closed interval AB. Sorry, here closed interval, everything is 0, 1, right? Here it is 0, 1. So Pn is converging to f square uniformly. So if we have uniform convergence, we can interchange the limit. And so integral will also converge this in this bounded interval. We will get integral 0 to 1 Pn of t into f of t dt will converge to, since Pn into f converge to f square, we can say that this will converge to f square of t dt. But from here, this integral is always 0. For all n it is 0. So we will say that this is frequent 0 is converging to integral 0 to 1 f square of t dt. Means what? Integral 0 to 1 f square of t dt is equal to 0. Now it is not just an integral, it is integral of a positive function. Here f is positive function. Sorry, f square will be always positive. So if integral over a finite interval, integral of a positive function is 0 implies f square is identically equal to 0, which implies f is identically equal to 0. So it is a very simple application of Weierstrass approximation theorem. Now we will just go back to the next question. Integral 0 to 1 e raised to xt into f of t dt equal to 0 for all x belongs to R, and f is continuous provided I'm sorry to say that it is typing mistake. Integral 0 to 1 e raised to xt f of t dt equal to 0 for all x belongs to R, then f is identically equal to 0. How to do that? Let integral 0 to 1 e raised to xt f of t dt is equal to 0 for all x belongs to R. So what to do? You just name this as some g of x. G of x is this. So g is a function identically equal to 0. Then what can you say about its derivatives? What will be g prime of x? D prime of x is nothing but dy dx of integral 0 to 1 e raised to xt f of t dt equal to 0. I hope you will learn this Leibniz rule to take these derivatives inside. I'm not going to explain this. You just read it somewhere. In these type of situations, the integration is over on bounded interval and everything is continuous inside. We can take the derivative inside. Okay, I'm not going, because since it is just a differentiation, it is not that much easy result. So you just learn that result. We can take this derivative inside. It will be nothing but integral. Why this is 0? This g is a 0 function. So g prime will be always 0. Okay. So this will be, we can take the derivative inside. So what will happen if you take the derivative inside? Only the first term has x component. So x e raised to xt f of t dt equal to 0. So you will get this. Now, what will be g double prime of x? Sorry, there is a small problem here. It is not x. It is t e raised to xt. Now, what is g double prime of x? Since g of x is identically 0, g prime of x is also 0. G double prime of x is also identically equal to 0. Implies what will be the second derivative? Integral 0 to 1 t square e raised to xt f of t dt, which is identically equal to 0. So we got the, from as the last problem, what we are getting here, integral 0 to 1 t raised to n e raised to xt f of t dt is equal to 0 for all n, because this is true for all derivative. The second derivative we will get t square, third derivative we will get t cube, fourth derivative 3 raised to 4. So we are taking all the derivatives, we will get all the things are 0 here. So this will be equal to 0. So from the last problem, we will get e raised to xt into f of t is identically equal to 0. Implies this cannot be 0, f is identically equal to 0. So these are the applications of Weierstrass approximation theorem. I have prepared some more problems, but I think the time is over. So what to do? Shall I do some more problems or stop here? Sir, excuse me. Hello? Hello, sir? Can you hear me? Or again it is stopped?
Okay, commitment.
Huh?
We can hear you.
Okay. Shall I continue or? Okay, I can present till 4, I think. Okay, I will continue. I will go to some problems.
Yes, okay, Ranjit, no problem. You can continue up to 4.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now I'm just want to show some questions. These are just screenshots. This question I thought that we already saw this one, right? This fn continuous. You can just look up this function because I already discussed all these sort of questions in between. Okay, this is one of the important questions because this is not at all a real analysis question. It is actually a linear algebra question, but still I like this question very much. These PNs are some sequence of functions. They are given a sequence of functions, ANX square BNX plus Cn, sequence of quadratic polynomials. AN, BN, Cn belongs to our lambda naught, lambda 1 distinct real numbers. And it is convergent at 3 points. At lambda naught it is convergent, lambda 1 it is convergent, and at lambda 2 it is convergent. Now there are some questions related to that. So they have given the options 3 and 4 just to confuse you. There is no point in giving lambda naught, lambda 1. So the thing is like, in this question there are 3 unknowns, AN, BN and Cn. And they have given the values at 3 points, Pn lambda 1, lambda 2 and lambda naught. So it is just 3 equations and 3 variable problem actually. So how to solve this? So what I'm going to do is, so here we know Pn of lambda naught, Pn of lambda 1 and Pn of lambda 2. So you can write this as, this is nothing but An lambda naught square plus An Bn, right? 1 minute. This Bn lambda naught plus Cn, which is equal, this is one An lambda 1 square plus An Bn lambda 1 plus Cn. This is An lambda 2 square plus Bn lambda 2 plus Cn. So actually this is an equation in 3 variables. Okay, so my question is, can we solve this An, Bn and Cn in terms of Pn of lambda naught, Pn of lambda 1 and Pn of lambda 2? Or this we can write like this: Pn lambda naught, Pn lambda 1, Pn lambda 2 is equal to some matrix lambda naught square, lambda naught 1, lambda 1 square, lambda naught, lambda 1, 1, lambda 2 square, lambda 2, 1 into An, Bn, Cn. This is right. So we can solve this if this matrix is invertible. And this matrix we are seeing from our +2 standard, and its determinant is nothing but lambda naught minus lambda 1 into lambda 1 minus lambda 2 into lambda 2 minus lambda naught. This is the determinant of this matrix. If lambda naught, lambda 1 and lambda 2 are all distinct, then obviously the derivative is non-zero. So this is invertible. So this An, Bn and Cn we can write in terms of Pn of lambda 1, Pn of lambda 2 and Pn of lambda naught. So we can solve An as a function of all these things, Bn is also as a function of all these things, and Cn is also a function of like this: Pn of lambda naught, Pn lambda 1, Pn lambda 2 and lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda naught. We can write An in terms of this, Bn also in terms of this, Cn in also terms of this. Now we are given that Pn lambda naught is convergent, Pn lambda 1 is convergent, Pn lambda 2 is convergent. So this An will be also convergent. Bn will also converge. Cn will also converge. So this An will converge to some A, Bn will converge to some B, Cn will converge to some C. Then our problem is done, because what we got, An is converging to some A, Bn is converging to some B, Cn is converging to some C. So for any x, then Pnx will converge to Ax square plus Bx plus C. So then we have point-wise convergence for all points. So this limit Pnx exists for all x. What will be the derivative will come? 2anx plus bn. Again, we know that an will convert to a and bn will convert to b. Then Pnx will converge to the derivative will convert to 2ax plus b. Obviously, this third one and fourth one, since it is convergent for all points, there is nothing to do with lambda 1 plus lambda 1 plus lambda 2 by 3. Obviously, it will converge. So the last two options are wrong. So even it was not an analysis question, I was just interested to solve this. Okay. This is very interesting, easy thing, so I'm not going to say this because it is out of time. I will just do this question and come back if I want. Okay, just look at this function. It is one of the interesting question I have found. Gn of x is sine square x plus 1 by n. And we are not asked the convergence of sine square x plus 1 by n. We are asked about its integral. Fnx is equal to 0 to x gn of t dt. So what can you say about the convergence of Fn on 0 infinity? And what can you say about it, whether it is uniform, whether it is uniform on bounded set, all these things. These are the questions. So options we don't need, because all the options are related to convergence and uniform convergence. So I think we don't need these options. We only need these definitions. Okay. So what was the definition? Some gn of x is equal to sine square x plus half, and Fn of x is equal to integral 0 to x sine square t plus half. Sorry, not half, this n. Okay, Fn of x is equal to integral 0 to x sine square t plus half. So what can you say about whether this will converge or not for each n? So the convergence, we are not asked anything about g. We are asked only the convergence of Fn, whether it is uniform or point-wise. So what we need to, first we can just think about what is uniform limit point-wise convergence. What can you say about limit n tends to infinity Fn of x? It is nothing but limit n tends to infinity integral 0 to x sine square t plus 1 by n. Okay, so to get point-wise convergence, it will be very easy if we can interchange the limit. So what we need to interchange the limit? To interchange the limit, we need some uniform convergence. So we already know that if on integral a to b, if the function is uniform, sequence is uniformly convergent, then the integrals will also converge. So here the question is this integral convergent? So for that, what we need some uniform convergence of the inside thing. So what about this gnx? Whether it will converge, where does this converge? Sine square x plus 1 by n. This is very easy since 1 by n goes to 0. So x plus y and 1 by n goes to x. Sine square is a continuous function. So this will converge to sine square x. So point-wise, it is convergent to sine square x. But to interchange the limit, we need uniform convergence, right? So we try to prove that this is uniformly convergent. So for uniform convergence, what we need? This sine square of x plus 1 by n minus sine square x. This should be less than epsilon independent of the point x. So what we can use here? So, but here it should be very easy since sine square, we know it is a Lipschitz continuous function. So there will be a constant k such that this is less than or equal to what is Lipschitz continuous? Modulus of fx minus fy less than or equal to k times mod x minus y. We say that a function is Lipschitz continuous if there exists a k like this. So here we know that sine square is a Lipschitz continuous function, and we can take this k outside. So what will be remaining? What is x minus y? X plus 1 by n minus x, which is nothing but k by n, and it is less than epsilon independent of x. There is no x in the last term. So we can say that the sine square x plus 1 by n is converging to sine square x in uniformly. So this we have uniform convergence. Since we have uniform convergence here this sine square, so this will be equal to integral 0 to x. Where is this converging? Sine square t. Okay. So this is the most important part. So what you get? Integral 0 to x, that is fn of x is equal to integral 0 to x sine square t plus 1 by n dx, sorry, dt converges to integral 0 to x sine square t dt. So we got pointwise convergence. So here we already proved pointwise convergence. Now what we need? Uniform convergence. So here the uniform convergence of Gn gives us a pointwise convergence of Fn. Now we need to prove the uniform convergence of Fn. How to prove the uniform convergence? The same idea, no difference, but it is little computational. Still, I have small confusion that whether this is the correct way, because I think the net questions is not that much computational. Still, I am writing this modulus of fnx minus, I am writing this as f of x. Okay, fnx minus f of x. What we need? We want that this should be going to 0 independent of x. So what is this? It is modulus of integral 0 to x sine square t plus 1 by n minus integral 0 to x sine square t, this one, and this is, which is equal to modulus of, what is it? We can just, by small substitution, this you can take this 1 by n here. It will be integral 1 by n to x plus 1 by n sine square t minus integral 0 to x sine square t. Now, since we are removing from 1 by n to x plus 1 by n, and we are removing the terms from by 0 to x, so what will remain? Modulus. Some here, the derivation is starting from 1 by n, so the remaining part will be 0 to 1 by n will remain here, and we are subtracting up to x, so x to x plus 1 by n will remain here. X to x plus 1 by n sine square t minus integral 0 to 1 by n sine square t. Now I am not writing the intermediate steps. They are just integrating, substituting sine 1 minus cos 2t and all these things. I am just writing the final step. What I am getting was modulus of sine 2x by 4 minus sine 2 into x plus 1 by n. After integrating and substituting the limits, we will get like this, by 4 plus sine 2 by n by 4. Okay, again we can split the limit, sorry, split the modulus by modulus of sine 2x minus sine 2 into x plus 1 by n by 4 plus sine 2 by n by 4. Again, we know that sine 2x is Lipschitz continuous. So again, we can use the same result. Some k into difference of the elements, different of the arguments, x minus x plus 1 by n. So it will be 1 by n by 4 plus sine 2 by n by 4. Now we know that this is converging to 0, this is converging to 0, and it is independent of epsilon. So this is converging, sorry, independent of x, converging to 0, independent of x. So what we have, this Fn converges to f pointwise, and it is converging uniformly. So Fn converges to 0, converges uniformly. So this is very important question I have come across. Okay, so these are all the other, all these other things we have discussed. In this question also, you have to use that supreme definition. Okay, so these type of questions we have discussed a lot while discussing the theorems.
Now the time for interaction. Our resource person Ranjit is from IISc Bangalore. He is doing research PhD there. So if you want to clear any doubts about IISc or any research opportunities or research atmosphere there, you can discuss with him.
നല്ല ക്ലാസ് ആയിരുന്നു. സാധാരണ ഉച്ച സമയത്ത് ഇങ്ങനെ കേട്ടിരിക്കാൻ തോന്നാറില്ല. പക്ഷെ ഇന്നെന്തോ അങ്ങനെ ബോറടി ഒന്നും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല. നല്ല രസമുള്ള ക്ലാസ് ആയിരുന്നു. നല്ല ഒരു ഫ്ലോയിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ പോവായിരുന്നു. അതിങ്ങനെ ശരിക്കും എൻജോയ് ചെയ്ത് ഇങ്ങനെ പറയണ പോലെ തോന്നി. നല്ല ക്ലാസ് ആയിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ IIScയിലെ റിസർച്ച് അറ്റ്മോസ്ഫിയറിനെ പറ്റി പറയുമോ?
ചില മൊത്തത്തിൽ റിസർച്ച് അറ്റ്മോസ്ഫിയർ ആയാലും ലിവിങ് അറ്റ്മോസ്ഫിയർ ആയാലും അടിക്കും. നമ്മൾ ഏത് ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂട്ടിൽ പോയാലും റിസർച്ച് അറ്റ്മോസ്ഫിയറിന് വലിയ പ്രശ്നമൊന്നും നല്ല റിസർച്ച് അറ്റ്മോസ്ഫിയറിനെ ഇരിക്കും. ഇവിടെ നമുക്ക് ഫസ്റ്റ് ഇയറിലെ കോഴ്സ് വർക്കിന്റെ സമയത്ത് നമുക്ക് യാതൊരുവിധ റെസ്ട്രിക്ഷൻസ് ഇല്ല. എന്ന കോഴ്സ് നമ്മൾ വന്ന് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് നമ്മൾ നിർബന്ധിതമല്ല ഏത് കോഴ്സ് എടുക്കണം, അങ്ങനത്തെ കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ നമ്മുടെ ഇഷ്ടമാണ്. കാരണം നമുക്ക് വരുന്ന സമയത്ത് നമുക്ക് റിസർച്ച് ഏരിയയെ കുറിച്ചൊന്നും ഒരു ഐഡിയ ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. ഇവിടെ വന്നതിന് ശേഷം നമുക്ക് 1 വർഷം സമയമുണ്ട് റിസർച്ച് ഏരിയ ചൂസ് ചെയ്യാനും കാര്യം. അപ്പൊ അത് വലിയൊരു കാര്യമാണ്. നമുക്ക് നാട്ടിലൊക്കെ MSc പഠിക്കുന്ന ഒരാളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചോളം ഏത് സബ്ജക്റ്റ് റിസർച്ച് ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് വരുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ ചൂസ് ചെയ്യണം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എളുപ്പമല്ല. അത് നമുക്ക് ഇവിടെ വന്ന് 1 വർഷം കോഴ്സ് വർക്കൊക്കെ എടുത്ത് ഹയർ കോഴ്സുകളൊക്കെ എടുത്തതിന് ശേഷം മാത്രം നമ്മൾ ചൂസ് ചെയ്താൽ മതി. അത് ശരിക്ക് എല്ലാ ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂട്ടുകളിലും കിട്ടുന്ന ഒരു ഗുണമല്ല. ഇങ്ങനത്തെ IIScയിൽ അതൊരു വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ഫാക്ടറാണ്. നമുക്ക് 1 വർഷം കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഗൈഡിനൊക്കെ ചൂസ് ചെയ്താൽ മതി. ഗൈഡിനൊക്കെ ചൂസ് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞാലും മൊത്തത്തിൽ അറ്റ്മോസ്ഫിയർ അടിപൊളിയാണ് ഇവിടെ. നമുക്ക് ലൈബ്രറിയും എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങളും.
ഓക്കെ സർ, താങ്ക് യു.
Thank you.
എന്റെ ഒരു പ്രശ്നം, ഞാൻ ആദ്യമായിട്ടാണ് ഇങ്ങനെ ഓൺലൈനിൽ ഒരു ക്ലാസ് കൊടുക്കുന്നത്. ഞാൻ ആക്ച്വലി വളരെ നെർവസ് ആയിരുന്നു. ഞാനിത് പറയുന്നേട്ടപ്പോ എനിക്ക് അതിശയം തോന്നുന്നുണ്ട്.
വളരെ നന്നായിരുന്നു.
ട്രാക്ക് പാഡ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് ആദ്യമായിട്ടാണ്. ഓൺലൈനായിട്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു അതിന്റെ ഒരു പ്രശ്നം തുടക്കത്തിൽ സ്റ്റാർട്ടിങ്ങിന് നല്ല ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട് തോന്നിയിരുന്നു. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ വിചാരിച്ചു കുളമായി.
ഇല്ല അങ്ങനെയൊന്നുമില്ല, വളരെ നന്നായിരുന്നു. Okay, friends, you can ask your doubts. Okay, feel free to ask your doubts or comments. Comment. See, that will be very useful for us for arranging these type of sessions.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sir, I want to know that if we are taking a Lipschitz continuous function which is pointwise convergent on a closed and bounded interval, so can we say that it is uniformly convergent?
Akash,
no.
Can
you are taking sequence of Lipschitz continuous functions?
Yes, sir.
That all the examples we have taken are Lipschitz continuous, I think. That triangle type functions, you remember, right?
Yes, sir.
On closed interval 0, 1, that triangle, and even if on the full set, that triangle type functions all are Lipschitz continuous functions, and it is converging to 0. 0 is again a Lipschitz continuous function, but the convergence is not uniform. Even if in the bounded interval, there also, if you take the triangle type functions, all the functions on the closed and bounded interval, we are taking very simple functions, right? All the time such simple functions are always Lipschitz. It is very difficult to construct a function which is not Lipschitz. So all the examples we have encountered in so far are Lipschitz continuous functions, but the limit convergence was not uniform, right? Hello.
So the necessary and sufficient criteria is only uniform convergence criteria. That is lim sup fnx minus fx has to be 0 for UC.
See, it is better to introduce yourself while asking a question. Please introduce.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Uniform convergence require very huge setup. Like we are saying that all x we need some common n. It is a very huge demand. Okay, so in most of the cases, if we are giving some conditions and asking that whether it is uniform convergence, in 99% of the cases you can find counterexamples. Okay, uniform convergence, because if you are doing in measure theory or MSc, then you will understand. If we have lot of convergence will be there. Among all the convergence, uniform convergence is the topmost convergence. If uniform convergence is there, then you will have all the things. Okay, so uniform convergence is very huge demand actually. So in this Lipschitz contingency also, it is very easy to construct an example. Okay, so whenever you are asked, so you are given some conditions on some convergence and you are asking whether it is uniform convergent, then you can just construct some example. It may not be easy all the time, but in most of the example, when you are encountered by competitive exam point of view, then it will be very easy if you are constructing examples by drawing graphs. Is it clear?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir, it's clear. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Akash. Anyone else? Feel free to express your views and ask your doubts. Okay, others? Okay.
സാർ ഇന്നത്തെ ക്ലാസ് വളരെ നല്ല ക്ലാസ് ആയിരുന്നു. നെറ്റിനൊക്കെ പഠിക്കുമ്പോൾ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് കാണുമ്പോൾ അതൊക്കെ എങ്ങനെ
Please,
ചിന്തിക്കാൻ
okay, നിങ്ങളൊന്ന് ഇൻട്രോഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യും കൂടി ചെയ്തോളൂ. അഭിയ ജോയ്.
Okay, thank you. Continue.
നെറ്റിന് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഒക്കെ കാണുമ്പോൾ അതെങ്ങനെ ചിന്തിച്ച് ചെയ്യണം എന്നൊക്കെ മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ പറ്റി. നല്ല ക്ലാസ് ആയിരുന്നു. താങ്ക് യു.
താങ്ക് യു അഭിയ. നിങ്ങൾ പറയുന്ന സമയത്ത് ആദ്യം നിങ്ങളൊന്ന് ഇൻട്രോഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്ത് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നന്നായിരിക്കും, നിങ്ങൾ എവിടെയാണ് എന്നുള്ളതൊക്കെ പഠിക്കുന്നതെന്നൊക്കെ. ഓക്കെ, അതേഴ്സ്? Is there anyone else? So feel free to ask questions or comment. Okay, if you have any doubt about the admission procedure in IISc about PhD, you can ask him. So I think there is no one asking any questions. Okay. So there are many one commenting in the chat box. Ranjit, you can have a look on that.
Yeah.
Many of
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. So I think let us wind up now. So let me express my thanks to Sri Ranjit for being with us. And the comments from the student side shows that they have all enjoyed the class and they have got benefited. So I wish I wish all the success to all the students, those who are appearing for JAM and NET exam this time. So thank you, Ranjit. Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining with us. Next week we will come up with some other online problem solving session with some other resource person. Okay, now let us leave. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you for giving me this chance.
Okay, it's our pleasure. Okay, thanks.
And it is very happy to see that you are working a lot for the students.
Okay, thank you, Ranjit. Thank you for your nice words. So let us wind up here. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.